Hi, Professor Hastings again. The title of this video was inspired by a sentence from an article by Amy Thibodeau of Shopify. Quote, "Platitudes about empathy are thrown around like confetti in meetings and conferences. I've done this myself without seriously considering what it means to make empathy a guiding principle in how we conceive of, plan, and build products. It can feel a bit like we're a bunch of robots trying to act out human feelings." Robots versus humans. We can't really dig into empathy in design thinking without addressing the current state of empathy in the workplace. The work culture that I know and live in is the U.S. work culture. There may be things that resonate with what you have experienced in your workplace culture, and there may be some pretty extreme differences. I'm going to talk about what I know, and I hope there's enough shared experience to be helpful to you. Firstly, a lot of lip service is given to the word empathy these days without a whole lot of practice to back it up. Here's why I think that is. For most of our workplaces, emotions and their expression or discussion of them is still taboo. When we add in gendered, racial, and cultural programming and biases, explicit and implicit, it gets even more complicated. And I'm here to tell you that human emotions and human needs are in direct connection, and that there are very many universal aspects. They come prepackaged with this human body that we inhabit. When we have a shared language of feelings and needs, problems can be solved, peace can be brokered, conflicts resolved, and innovation in processes and methods and products can be achieved. Before we can do that, however, we have to make it okay, even invited, to talk about our feelings and our needs at the individual, collective, and organizational levels. So here's a little overview of what I teach my freshman college students. Many of us grow up in families or cultures where there are just three emotions: mad, sad, glad. And only one of those emotions is acceptable. Does this resonate with you? Did you ever hear "don't be mad" or "don't be sad"? So the first thing I'd like for you to know is that there are no bad emotions. There are no wrong emotions. There are many uncomfortable emotions. But how we choose in the moment to accept or deny what is moving through us will be the key to processing the information and that wisdom of our bodies that it is delivering. In fact, maybe that perspective, that emotions are a form of data coming from the body to alert us to our needs, is the key to a massive shift in understanding. What can be challenging when it comes to emotions is when our expressions of emotions is problematic. It's one thing to feel enraged and then take the time to be alone and breathe through those feelings. And it's another thing entirely to be enraged and turn over a desk. Emotions are the primary indicator of whether our needs are being met or not. When we develop our understanding of our feelings and needs, we can create helpful strategies and requests when the situation is challenging. Developing a shared language of feelings and the underlying needs that they point toward will aid us in averting our unhelpful expressions of emotions and create strategies that bring us connection rather than cut us off. Here's a little taste of the kinds of things we'll be digging into. This is an example of a well-framed communication from a typical work challenge. Quote, "When I heard about the new policy passed down by the executive committee, I felt frustrated because it's going to be harder for my team to have the autonomy we have enjoyed. We are more likely to be creative when our need for autonomy is met." Feeling, frustration, needs, autonomy, and creativity. Well communicated. First, we have to feel the frustration, label it, and then connect to the needs that are or aren't being met. This is good practice. The recognition and then conversation about these feelings and needs will avert venting, gossip, lowering morale, and may lead to better workplace strategies that take into consideration everyone's needs and whether they can or can't be met. How many times have you experienced honest expression being squelched at your workplace? If we're bold enough to take on the practices of empathy, then the first step is to learn self-empathy and broaden our vocabulary of our feelings and needs. If we can't identify our own feelings and get in touch with the needs underlying them, we'll find it hard to do the same for others. In our next post, we'll be connecting to our feelings and building a robust language for them. Here's your first practice. It's a practice of self-compassion that I originally learned from the Buddhist teacher Tara Brach, but now I see it described in all sorts of places. And it's called hand on heart. It is the simplest form of checking in with self. And this can be done whether it's an intensely joyful emotion when our needs are met, or if it's a challenging emotion when our needs have not been met. But it's simply the hand on the heart and checking in with ourselves. Sometimes, if it's particularly challenging for me, I'll take the other hand and I'll put it over it. So, if you have a chance today, tonight, this week, just try it out. Try it out as a simple connection to self, and feel how comfortable and comforting that hand on your heart feels. I look forward to seeing you again, and please ask any questions or post resources in the comments. Take care.